Recording has started. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. That were the sounds of Miriam Makeba and Nina Simone. Thank you so much for joining us on a Saturday morning. My heart is indeed, as we say back home in the Pentecostal church, my heart is inditing in a good matter. It's a Saturday morning, it's 10 a.m., and we have community in the space showing up to ask questions, showing up to contribute, and showing up to share. And I am absolutely sitting in gratitude. And if you notice that those songs came from my collection, my Black Joy collection. Somebody's mic is on. Please make sure your mic is off. Someone's mic is on. Thank you. That from my Black Joy collection. And as you see my t-shirt this morning, this t-shirt is a gift from the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board. I am doing a series with them, looked in my gift bag this morning, literally, and realized the t-shirts. And I was like, I am wearing this morning. I am wearing this morning. And so it's such a privilege and such an honor to be here to share space with you. Also, to have so many amazing people in the room and to be a part of this. And so we're going to get right into it. You can see, I just want to show for a minute what the program looks like this morning. Of course, I'm saying welcome to everyone. We're going to have the land acknowledgement. We're going to have an ancestral acknowledgement. Leslie Stewart Rose, who's our program lead, who spoke on Tuesday, is not with us this morning, but one of our also program leaders, David Montemiro, who is also the co-coordinator for this very program, will be taking the opportunity and using that opportunity to say a few words, but also to bring a special welcome from the MT program to us all. David will be back also to answer the Q&A. And then we also have a great lineup of speakers. We're going to start with Karen Murray from the TDSB Center for Black Excellence, followed by Matthew Sinclair from ETFO, followed by Deborah Buchanan, who is from UNAPSI. As you hear those titles and those terms and those acronyms, you know these are partners that we are working with. And then we'll be speaking from Antonia, who is one of our past students. I spoke about Antonia on our last video. So if you watching this sometime later on, you can look at our Tuesday video where I spoke about Antonia, who I used to be one of my students at Seneca College in the Bachelor of Child Development, and also came here at OISE and done amazing, and some of the amazing awards that she has also won here at OISE. So we have a star past student here and a current amazing community member. And of course, I'll come back to give the vote of thanks. And so you'll get to speak, to see and hear from all these wonderful people this morning. So the first person I want to welcome and bring into the space will be Risala, who is going to move our University of Toronto land acknowledgement. Risala, it's over to you.
Hi guys, good morning. So I'll start with a land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have this opportunity to work on this land. Oh, you're on mute, Ms. Dr. Barry.
I am on mute. Thank you so much, Risala. And not just anyone who is saying the land acknowledgement or doing the land acknowledgement, but someone who is one of our past students and a part of the BFEP as well, and wonderful students. So moving right along, thank you, Risala. Moving right along to AJ. AJ, I spoke about you as well in the last video. One of our amazing students, someone who I'm just watching your growth as well, just coming out of the program and just watching your growth on social media. I am just so happy to say, I know him. I know him. It's AJ. AJ, please go ahead and do the ancestral acknowledgement for us.
Thank you for the warm welcome. This is the ancestral acknowledgement. We acknowledge the Indigenous Africans who were forcibly removed from their native lands and dispersed across the New World. This involuntary migration heavily contributed to the movement of African-descended people across the African diaspora to places like Canada. As students and learners, we deem it highly necessary to think deeper and examine the processes that led to the dispossession of indigenous peoples on this land and settler colonialism, stolen people on stolen land. In entering a conversation about anti-Black racism, it is important to center the humanity of Black children and Black families to examine systems, such as the education system, that act upon them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to add myself to the pin, and I'm going to welcome at this time David, who I'm going to add to the space as well. And thank you so much, AJ. This morning I'm excited. You know, when I also, it wasn't intentional that I'm trying to seek out Black males as well, but I know how powerful and important that was. And when I look at the list of speakers that I had, I end up realizing we had 5 Black male speakers between Tuesday and today. And that is something that I want to specifically make sure I point out to those future teachers who are out there who are hearing in the space, but also will be listening in with the video, because the video is going. I'm looking at it. I'm into my social media stuff, and the video is being shared. I can tell you it is being shared. I look at the traction it got on LinkedIn, and I got personal emails from a Black Futures male student who was not here but saw the video. So I know the power of your voice, and even just the acknowledgement, AJ, just the power of your presence. And I just want to say big up for that. And I'm continue following you on Instagram and seeing the work you're doing, because I see you pulling so much into the education space, and I go, yes. And of course, our past student also, Andre Ariat, who was here on Tuesday, whose Instagram page is It's Giving Guidance, was here as well. And I want to be intentional when I bring those voices into the space. So thank you so much, AJ. We're going to move right along to David Montemere, and David will be bringing the greetings, official greeting, his personal greeting, because David has the heart of this program. And I've said that on Tuesday, that myself and David Montemere, we are the coordinators for this program. And so that's the heart that David comes with the program with, is just intentional and important. I use that word a lot on Tuesday, intentional. That's one of my favorite words. You all know that. So David, it's over to you. Bring greetings and just say all that you need to say at this time. Go ahead, please.
Oh, all that I need
Not
to
at
say.
all.
That's a big invitation. I think I'll put that a pause on that, because you know how I'll roll. I just want to thank you for bringing Nina Simone's voice into the space right from the get-go. The new day, like that's kind of the energy that I bring to this space today, into this program. Yeah, and so on behalf of the department in which I work, the program in which I work, that's Curriculum Teaching and Learning at OISE, just want to extend an official welcome and thank you all for being here on a beautiful Saturday morning, taking the time to come and join in. Thank you. I invite you just to get a bit of a sense of who's in the space. There's lots of ways we can animate this, but just to assure that the way, just because it's hard with multiple screens, if you'd be willing to just enter into the chat, just a brief sort of self-intro of your identities. Are you an educator? Are you an administrator? Are you a parent? Are you a student? Are you a prospective candidate to the OISE program? Just so we get a bit of a feel in the room who's taking the time to come here on Saturday morning. So if you could just enter that in the chat with your welcomes as well, that'd be wonderful. OISE, for some of you who may know, is a large place with multiple programs. Teacher education is not the only program. It's the largest graduate program at the University of Toronto. And across the University of Toronto over the last few years, there's been an introduction of a number of Black-focused admission and specialized programs. So law and medicine were the advent, and now social work and engineering are coming on board, as is OISE. So what we've seen is a shift from sort of generic EDI kind of intentions to something that's more pruned and targeted, and delighted to see that finally happening, as people in the space know, long overdue. Before we launched our BFEP program for a special admissions process, which Dr. Campbell will describe in a moment, we had to make sure we also shifted some things in our program. Our program was very norm, very traditional, very kind of static and standard. And before we could begin to say we want to bring and support Black educators in the space, we wanted to make sure that we introduced some new elements that spoke to the identity, spoke to the purpose, spoke to the need in communities. So again, Dr. Campbell will describe some of those. So we've been working on it, continue to work on it, and it's been for the benefit of students such as Antonia, AJ, and Rosala, who are here, as are others that we really tried to co-develop and co-design with a number of community partners as well, a program that we hope speaks to and points to and is informed by the spirit of Nina Simone's song earlier. The other thing I'd say is a few years ago, I might have been a little more reticent to pitch hard the idea of coming to be a teacher. I think it's important for people to be aware of that dynamics have shifted. A few years ago, it was really hard. For a long time, it was really hard to get into the teaching profession. There was an oversupply of new teachers coming in, and so it was hard to get employment. What we've seen, and I'll post in a moment into the chat, as along a number of other reports, a report from the College of Teachers, which is pointing to a new point where there is a demand for teachers. And there's an awareness, here today from some of the partners who are speaking, a demand specifically for Black educators who are committed to serving Black students and families. So thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Campbell, for arranging this, and look forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, David. David, I want to thank you for also doing what you did to bring people in the chat. Sometimes it's funny, the little things that kind of impact you. I'm literally listening to you, David, and I'm reading every single introduction in the box. And my heart is just warm. And I see my future students in the box. And I won't get into why I said that, but I think on Tuesday, I talked to you about that I used to teach at, I told my story, so you could find the story on the Tuesday video, that I used to teach at Seneca before I knew anything about the Master of Teaching program. And then I knew about the program, and I told my Seneca students about the program. And those Seneca students said to me, well, we don't go to OISE, or OISE is not going to take us. They were doing the Bachelor of Child Development, and I was one of the professors there at Seneca part-time. And I remember my Saturday morning class, and I remember saying to them, yes, you can, yes, you will, only to come to OISE to teach in the MT program. And 4 of those Seneca students came to the program, applied, got in, and graduated. And when I'm looking in the box, I said it for a reason, because I'm looking in the chat, and I'm seeing ECE, I'm seeing persons doing their bachelor's in youth worker. I'm telling you, this program is for you. This program is for you. I see the potential students. I see my students, David. I see my students in the box. So welcome, welcome. Looking forward to have you in class with me and to have you in conversation with me. So thank you so much. I'm going to go back to my screen sharing, and then we're going to go right into it. And so we want to talk a little bit, just one thing before I go. Remember, we're going to have a lineup of speakers. So after I finish giving the overview, you'll hear from Karen Murray, followed by Matthew Sinclair, then Deborah from ONAPSI, and anchored by Antonia, one of our past students. I also want to say thank you, AJ. If you look at AJ's comment, he made it very clear he's a past student, and he shared his email, which he has always done, to say if you have questions about the program, feel free to reach out to him. So thank you again, AJ, for always being that amazing and doing all that amazing stuff. So the OISE Master of Teaching program, a quick overview, everyone. And then you look in the chat and you'll see those links will be in the chat as well. And also you go on the website, you'll find this. But we want to say the OISE offers Ontario's graduate teacher education programs, leads to a teacher certification with the Ontario College of Teachers, so of course OCT, and where you can learn more about the program. The link is here, the link is in the box, and encourage person to review our open house recordings. So there are also recordings for our open house when you hear really specific things about the course, the research, the subject, the practicum. So take that time, future students, and invest in that. I see also community members who I know are social workers who are reaching out to your own people. Make sure they take a minute to look at the OISE open house recordings, and there are specific recordings for PJ, JI, and IS as well. Of course, there's some great news about financial information. This, for me, I just want to make it clear that this is part of my freedom dream, is that that the day will come into this program when there are going to be way more bursary, way more scholarships, and way more opportunities that our students can get, because we understand the cost of a program like this, and we understand you're speaking to someone who sent himself to school. So I know so much and too much about funding my own education. And I've spoken to students who I know even in the chat today, who was even in the room today, talking about their financial situation and how they are going to do it. But I also want to also underline that this is an investment as well. Education, I've always said it, is a major investment. And I too can speak of the return on your investment. But I hope today is going to come when we're going to see way more awards, way more bursaries in the field. And so that is very important that we think about that and the opportunities. And so there's a landing page. We never had this before. Now we have it. There is an official Black Future Education's Pathway page. So I want you to go there, go on it, Google it, go there, look at it. And there's a beautiful queue, frequently asked questions. So you can have your questions there. A lot of the questions that I've gotten, the answers were there. So I'm going to ask people to go there as well. But also feel free to email myself, reach out to David Montemera, AJ, all of us. Some of you know Antonia. Some of you reach out. We also can answer those questions. So what is the Black Future Education's Pathway? Formerly called Access Pathway for Black Educators, seeks to build an intentional pathway to attract future educators and provide them with a multifaceted support to assure success. So we get it, because I hear people in the community reaching out to me. I've had people reach out to me to say, Dr. ABC, I can't tell you how happy I am what you're doing, but I just want to make sure you are putting in those support systems as well, because we have seen it too often when Black people show up into the space where they say it's created for them, then we feel unsafe, and we see anti-Black racism, we see anti-Blackness in so many formats. We see how even ourselves do not know how to react, and to when we say we are decolonized, what does that look like? And so we are making sure we are being intentional about that. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the background as we speak for this program to make sure we support our Black educators. And you're going to also hear later on about the MTBEA, which is our Black Students Association, of course, which Anthony was one of our past presidents. There are numerous studies and policy reports have identified how the persistent lack in teacher diversity fails to reflect student diversity in K-12 schools and contributes to the reproduction of inequitable outcomes as students miss the benefits of representative role models who adopt culturally responsive and critically conscious pedagogy. And I want to underline that, because that is something we are working on very much within the program itself. How do we get to that place? And I can tell you, are we there yet? Absolutely not. And this is what I want us to realize, that the work to get to this place is continuous. You hear a lot of people talking about culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy. What really does that look like in a classroom? What does that look like inside a classroom? We're talking about abolitionist pedagogy, liberatory pedagogy. What does that look like when I also say when it's in action? And so we want to get into that. And some of you who are going to be our future educators will have opportunities to do research independently and research with myself and other professors who are looking into this kind of conversation. I'm looking forward to that as well. Of course, this initiative seeks to address the persistent harm identified in University of Toronto's Anti-Black Racism Task Force Report 2021, also aligns with the commitments to equity, diversity, and inclusion and access in OISE's academic plan 2017-2022 and the Master of Teaching Race and Inclusion Report 2020. It's intentional. So what I've put here is just a graphic of the things that I said before. It's intentional to disrupt the reproduction of inequitable outcomes. It's intentional to address the race and inclusion report. It's intentional to build around the pathway to attract and support future Black educators and to disrupt, of course. And so here is the application process. So it's everything that you see here is on the website. It's on the main MTE website. So it's all there. Take a look, investigate the website, click, click, click. Be informed. I love to remind my students, be informed. Go and Google it, research it, click on it. So At that point, you'll identify your division and your teachable, PJ, JI, or IS. We get into the provide the person and contact information. Number 3, you go into your academic history, your transcript. We go into English language proficiency, if that is needed. Additional information as everybody gets to look at. Your resume, your experience chart, where you get to share, your intentions on the past experience you have. Entrance awards. And then comes to number 6, the most important part of this process for me would be to answer the CTL-MT faculty question, where you're going to opt in, because you have to opt into this program. This is a special pathway where you have to opt in. We don't force you to opt in. You have to opt in to say, yes, you want to be a part of this intentional pathway. You want the benefits, the access that comes with this. And this is a specific pathway. I want to make that very clear. And persons who opt in this pathway, there will be very specific benefits. I can tell you right now, I'm investigating and looking more into certain bursaries and scholarships that are going to be specific for persons who are part of this pathway. So not because you are Black and you apply to the program in a general sense. If you don't opt in, you are not a part of this specific pathway, and that is important and intentional. And then, of course, providing your reference information. And then when you opt in, there's a magic question. Applicants who identify as Black may choose to indicate on their application which will direct your application into the Black Future Education's pathway. And I've had many questions asked by students in the past, people who look in job. Dr. Campbell, when you see these questions about demographic, do you click on yes? Do you identify? And I want to say to you, way before BFEP was we're doing BFEP, I have always self-identified as any single application I have done for jobs, for OISE job, for jobs at Queens, for jobs anywhere I've worked. I have always opted in to self-identify. For me, that is important. They know who they are getting. I know there are persons who have other kind of ideas about what that looks like. For me, I know I can never hide from my Blackness. I show up Black. I am 6'4" and I show up Black. I am Black today. I'm Black tomorrow. I have a funny feeling and a strong feeling I'll be Black next week and the rest of my life. And so for me, it's very intentional that I always self-identify, because whatever you're going to do in that institution, good or bad, to me, I want you to know who you're dealing with. And so for me, opting in is always very intentional. We see some of our persons there. These are some of our Black Future Educators and our BFEP people who have done the work. I want to say thanks to you, Antonia. Thanks, AJ. Thanks, Ashley, who's our present president, and Bethel, who is one of our new doctoral PhD doctoral student at OISE. And so we're going to talk more about affinity space. These are some courses that are also a part of the elective that you'll be able to select. And these are amazing. The first one is our CTL 5701, our special topics in curriculum, practice in community. It's an amazing opportunity to get into community, into the classroom, into spaces to do the work and sell. And I think one of our future student on Tuesday asked a question about other spaces other than the classroom. And I think in this course, you'll have that opportunity as well. And of course, we go into another of our specific course, 5704, special topics in urban education, curriculum, and pedagogy. And there'll be some shifted in this course, especially for the pathway, because when you have an intentional space, then even the curriculum, even the pedagogy, even the instruction will also need to follow suit of being a little bit more intentional. And I teach this course and I have plans for the intentionality. Also, this course is one of the mandatory courses that you'll do, one of the two electives, and this will be the special topics in Black identity and pedagogy. And we are crafting some more intentionality around this course as well. There's an opportunity which is amazing, where for your Research 2 course, which is mandatory for all our MT students, there will be a cohort where you will be a part of, where only they open only to the Black MT candidates in year 2. And I'm sure Antonio is looking and AJ thinking, wow, you should have had this when I was in there. And so yeah, we didn't have it when you were here, and we have it now, where your research course is being taught into a space where we discuss, and we have only Black teacher candidates there. So that is amazing. Of course, there is intentional practicum in year 1 and year 2. Candidates can opt for purposeful placement in winter, but this will be, of course, also be adjusted, because once you're opting, you are also opting in to the practicum as well. And to receive additional pedagogical support, the TDSB Center, Peel is doing some work in there, and we'll hear more about some of those partnerships, especially with TDSB, who have been doing the work with us as well. And Karen is going to speak right after this. And of course, Affinity Space, co-developed by the MT candidates. And we started this in 2019, and we see the community. We see the space, we see the Black joy that we cultivate, that we support, that we protect. I want to make sure I underline that. That's one of my work I am doing. It's one of the things I'm researching and writing about, but it's also something I'm speaking about from my heart every day when I get the opportunity. How do we cultivate, sustain, and protect Black excellence? And so that is a part of that Affinity Space conversation. We're going to get into a Q&A later on. Of course, take a snapshot of this page. For additional questions, you can write to me, Dr. ABC, but also you can write in general as well to the MT Info at University of Toronto. And sometimes, just to be on the safe side, if you want to write to them and it's specific about BFEP, you can attach me to that as well, because I don't want your specific question to be lost in any kind of everybody's question. Okay, so I'm very, very big on that. So thank you so much for listening to me for that overview. We'll have more questions there. At this time, I want to welcome Karen Murray from the TDSB Center for Black Excellence to speak to us. Karen, who has been a partner, not somebody new to this, somebody who has supported this intentional ways. I'm excited to say I'm going to have a field trip for one of my course to the center in January, bringing my students, all my students, everybody in my anti-discrimination course. We're heading to the center to live our best life at the center there. So looking forward to that, Karen. And Karen will be back in one of my course in the urban pedagogy to be the center, to be the key, to be a guest presenter in my community class, which is getting to be very popular. So if you have never heard about my community class, go and Google it, go on the YouTube page, and you'll see what my community class is all about. Can't wait for Karen and her team to be in part of my community class. Karen, it's over to you.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Nice hype for the morning. So glad to be here. Welcome everyone who is thinking about this opportunity. Just so give context, OISE has been a place of my heart because I once worked there, and so from the moment that I was there to now, the changes and the intentionality focusing on the education of the future Black scholars and scholarship is so amazing and so well needed. So I just want to say congratulations to everyone at OISE. So I am a system superintendent in the Toronto District School Board, and I hold the equity portfolio and the equity department, but I also hold the Center of Excellence for Black Student Achievement. And what's so important about the center is that it is fulfillment of a promise from community. Community has been at the doors of our district for a very long time, looking for an affinity space. And we're talking affinity space and the power of affinity space this morning. And finally, you know, after many different other ways of support, which was through our Afrocentric elementary school, if people remember that, who's finished its 10th anniversary, to our Afrocentric secondary programs. And we have two, Leonard Brathwaite, which is in Winston Churchill, where the center is also housed. We have a wing in that location, and also one at Downsview Secondary School, the center of town. And those were important contributions, but it wasn't what community needed. They continue to need a space where students and staff as well as families get an opportunity to interchange and engage in unapologetic work intentionally focused on Black students' academic achievement and success. And I'm saying unapologetic as a word, because we are unapologetic Black staff. And I think I have a few people who's on this call this morning who are not only been part of this program that we're talking about today, but have also worked with us. So a shout out to AJ and Antonia for being here. And we had Andre on Tuesday, and Bethel is another one. So we have some really good people who comes from the stock of this program, who has really been instrumental in many of the work that we've done. And I think my research coordinators here this morning. T, are you around?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Please come on camera. Let people just see who you are. So we're so blessed. We have a research coordinator and we have a research team. And no other place in the district can you see a full team of research associates that are Black, led by a Black senior research coordinator. And that is Tanitia. And we're always saying big up for that. And one of the things, the reason I'm bringing you on, T, is what I wanted us to do is we just want to talk about what students have said, what they need from teachers and educators. And so one of the things that students have said to us, and we talk to a lot of students all the time, and they talk about representation and how representation matters. And so we're talking employment equity pieces, but you can't hire if there isn't any. Right. So if we don't have Black future educators seeing this as a viable possibility and a pathway, it's hard for us to answer that call when students say, I want to have an educator in my career in pre K to 12 that is Black. The other thing that I'll say when it comes to that, we know research, Harvard talks about, Johns Hopkins talks about it, that all you need is one Black educator in a Black child's life, starting from grade 3, for them to move into post-secondary, one person. And so think about even what it means to get that one Black educator in the schools. And so at the center, we work so closely with all of you to be able to find that affinity space and support educators as they're going through the program. So T, if I know we don't have lots of time, but if we could just enter one or two things that our students have said they wanted from educators as they enter into their space of education.
I think one of the most, good morning, everyone. One of the most important one that was echoed by students, and just to contextualize a bit, I spent close to a year speaking to Black students, families, a little bit of staff was there as well. And we had over 200 Black students from the French immersion side and the English side, speaking about their experiences. And these students were from grade 7. I have to put that in, grade 7 to grade 12. And one of the most important things that they echoed, a lot of them, is for teachers to see them. Not only see them showing up in their spaces, but to know who they are, right? And another thing that was echoed from students was that they know when teachers don't like them, right? And that is very important, because that goes to oftentimes the trauma that they encounter, they experience while negotiating the spaces, right? And another piece we had, and we heard a lot from Black girls who are erased, right? And how they're taken up in the spaces, right? And a question was posed, and I said this last week at the conference. Kids are asking who are teaching the teachers. Who are teaching the teachers so they can come into our spaces, into our school, and terrorize us.
Word.
Students ask
Word.
that, right? And I want you to hear it and listen to that question. This was coming out of the mouth of students, right? Understanding the typical things that we as adults speak about, you know, understanding that there's varying intersection identities. Don't lump them in. That should be a basic one, right? They also talked about the way teachers teach, culturally responsive pedagogy and practice, right? Understanding when they're coming in from community, right? They talked about these things. How do you bring in my identity, my culture into the space? Again, nothing that I'm echoing is coming from me, all from students. And if you'd like, I'll drop the report in the chat so everyone can have a read. But it was broad. At the time, you know, it was at the pandemic, and students were also saying they felt safe behind the camera, right? Because they didn't have to negotiate the hallways and being surveillanced, right? And boys talked about the importance of having a Black male in the space and what that meant to see a Black male teacher in the space for them, because you had teachers breaking them down to the point that they did not want to go to school. They did not want to show up. So I was listening in earlier, Andrew, and hearing you, you know, locate the males in the space. It is critical for the Black boy's identity.
Absolutely.
Right? So I'll stop there and I'll share.
Thank you.
I'll share the link for the report.
So I just want to close by just saying, I even have staff on other staff. Ricardo, I see you, sending you love. I'm just gonna say, we are here in partnership. The center exists because we are here to support what this program is aiming to achieve. And we are with you side by side as our future candidates move through, and we're with you when they leave on the other side. So back to you, Andrew, and thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, T.
Powerful questions for the report. Powerful question for this recording. Who is teaching those teachers? All I would say is, dear OISE, I work there. Dear OISE, who is teaching these teachers? Leave it as that. We're going to create space at this time and welcome another Black educator, male educator in the space who is amazing. Matthew Sinclair. Over to you, Matthew. Over to you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Really excited to be here and represent ETFO, but also just to be within community. For those who don't know, ETFO represents 83,000 educators. We're the largest teaching union across the country. And so we have a responsibility to lead for a variety of reasons, and to be invested in the work of not just recruitment, which I know is one of the main focus, but as others have said several times this morning, the retention and the safety that can be created for educators once they're entering the program. So I'm just going to walk you through quickly a little bit about what true equity in education means from our perspective. This work that I'm sharing with you comes out of a multi-year plan that started in 2018. And the focus was, as was mentioned before, to really look at what needs to be disrupted within the union space as part of the comprehensive education spaces that need to be looked at in terms of school boards, in terms of administration, as was mentioned, in terms of who's teaching the teachers and what sort of training is being made available for them. So with that multi-year plan, we've had the opportunity to do a number of things. Among them, I just want to highlight on your far left, a campaign that you're going to see a short clip from shortly that was targeting the recruitment of Black educators and naming Black educators, not racialized educators, not marginalized groups, but Black educators specifically, and providing a space for some of our Black educators, which is who you see there on those posters on the two on the left, to talk about the fact that they are, what their experiences have been, but also reaching back and looking at what spaces can be created for future students and future educators to take up this call that we know is so important. As Dr. ABC mentioned near the beginning, it's really crucial that we also look at some of the barriers that are in place, not just systemically in terms of the feel, but also in terms of opportunity, which is why we have a Black specific bursary that's been created for $12,500 for first year Faculty of Education students. We also have a number of awards and scholarships that are available in bursaries, and I'll show a little bit on that in just a second, give you a chance with the QR code to visit where you can find out more information. And then crucially and really proudly, a lot of the work that we've done culminated somewhat last year in the first ever Black Symposium for Educators. I see a number of folks who are on the call who were able to participate in that space. And it's important for us to highlight the fact that that space, though it was led by us as a union, was one that was welcomed for those in post-secondary education, academics, administrators, community members, to really look at this holistically rather than just one particular pathway, which is something that, again, I think is really crucial for being able to create the system and the differences that we know we need within education. So again, if you were to click on or just scan that QR code that's on the far right, it will take you to the awards and scholarships page where you can take a look at some of the opportunities that are available. For the bursaries, I believe the deadline is January 1st. And then for awards and scholarships, those begin typically in February and the deadline's in April. As I think is really crucial again to highlight, we also are very cognizant of the fact that the feedback from students that we just heard also creates an environment where we know if students are not having positive experiences as students, even just environmentally, to ask them after they've navigated the system and had the challenges that they've had to re-enter that as a chosen profession is something that needs to be disrupted and is one of the things that we target in some of our trainings. We're also proudly able to host now a leadership program for Black educators. We have at least one alumnus from that program that's on the call right now. And excitingly, what comes out of that program is various affinity spaces that are set up across the province, and having school boards have budgets that are now starting to be dedicated to anti-Black racism specifically, which leads to the safety, which leads to the recruitment, and which leads to the ultimate power that can come in disrupting these systems. So I'm going to share a video here from one of our members who I think really captures a lot of what's already been said, but I think speaks directly to not just those who are in the space this morning, but this campaign was, I know I saw it before a movie last year when it was launched. We had billboards, and it really spoke to the society at large in terms of the importance of Black educators. Oh, sorry. One second.
My name is Flo Bury, and I'm a French immersion kindergarten teacher. I became a teacher because representation matters. My first day of Teachers College, this was the first time I had a Black educator. It was a powerful moment because for the first time I saw a Black educator embodied. If you are a young Black person and you are considering becoming a teacher, I would say jump in. We need you. The more we have, it's the more representation there is.
And so just to end off, as was already captured, we're very excited about the work that we've done. We're well aware of the work that needs to be done moving ahead. Partnerships and work with OISE and opportunities like this is something that we are invested in. We have funding now that's been set up for different locals and areas to work with partners, community partners in those areas, which we know, again, starts to build the safety that crucially is needed for the system to be disrupted. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you so much for that. And it's funny and it's so beautiful when you also have the opportunity to speak with persons like Matthew in other spaces and understand the heart of Black educators and how we freedom dream. And Matthew is one of those persons I have had conversations with where we sat and freedom dream what the classroom can be like, should be like, will be like, if we get this work done and continue to do this work, because the work is happening. But of course, we understand it's take a while, and we're pushing it, and we are really pushing. And so we're here today. Thank you so much. I just want to take a minute before I welcome you, Deborah, from OISE, another partner. I see community in the space, and I always like to make sure bigger people that they know. I see you, Sharon Gordon. I see you, Sharon, one of my past students, but an amazing support, an amazing advocate for Black students in that school board. I see you, Charles Waters. I see you, Camilla Goodridge. I see community who are doing work. There are people who are doing amazing work outside of this box, outside of these places. And I see you, I love you, I appreciate you, and thank you for being here. Deborah, OISE. Our researchers will present at OISE. Dr. Campbell present at OISE. OISE, the space where we will come to share. Deborah, it's over to you. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. And we have 3 minutes, so I'm going to be very mindful of my time. So good morning, everyone. As you've heard, my name is Deborah Buchanan Walford. I am the president of the Ontario Alliance of Black School Educators. I'm also a high school teacher who is very passionate about teaching and learning for all students, with an emphasis on showing up and supporting Black and racialized students. And just a little bit about OISE. OISE is a nonprofit organization whose mandate is to advocate for wraparound support of Black students and educators in Ontario. OISE has been around for about 10 years. We're an affiliate of NAPSE, which is the National Alliance of Black School Educators based in the United States. And NAPSE has been around since 1970. So OISE is a community organization, and we participate in community in numerous ways. We lobby and consult with policymakers. We have an annual conference that DR.ABC just referenced that is a by us, for us, professional working space, grounded in community, grounded in Black joy, well-being, and networking. And throughout the year, we host a number of affinity events for the whole community, because we know that it takes a village. So we have spaces which we refer to as commissions in OISE for students, for parents, for administrators, for retirees, for small businesses, everyone that is invested in supporting Black educators and Black students in Ontario. So this initiative at OISE is extremely important, as you've heard, and we will hear this numerous times. Most students in Ontario will go their entire K to 12 without having at least one Black educator. But the thing that we don't hear often enough is that many Black students come from Black families and communities who are from Black majority countries. Like myself, for example, as an immigrant to this country, I was born and raised and educated in Jamaica. And even though I grew up surrounded by Blackness and Black joy and Black educators, my child now will not have that same opportunity, which is why we need more Black educators more than anything else, to maintain that connection to ourselves. I don't need to remind us of the research. It's been alluded to numerous times that research shows how all students benefit from Black teachers. Not just Black students, all students do, because they get to see us show up in our authentic, multifaceted selves. They get to understand that even though we are divided by race on the surface, we're all people, we're all a community, and we need to see everyone everywhere, including in the classroom. So OISE provides an affinity space. We've heard that many times as well today, for Black educators. We have dedicated networking events. We partner with several Black educator networks across the province in York, Windsor, Ottawa, Peel, Durham, Toronto, and we are expanding to other places as well all the time. And we consistently advocate for more support for Black educators and Black students because every student benefits again from having Black teachers. So I will end with this. Teaching is not an easy profession by any means, of course. Anti-Black racism continues to permeate the education system, but teaching is one of the most important professions in our society. And we need to have Black educators who are prepared to not just join the profession, but stay in the profession, because retention is the other part of the conversation. And through this program that we've heard so excellently described, that support is there, but also in spaces like ONAPSI. And students, young minds who come to us, they don't come as empty vessels. They come as fully laden vessels, looking for someone to be the wind in their sails and the lighthouse to guide them to their goals. And that is why we need people who are invested in students for their whole selves, Black educators who are invested in being that person that will guide our students. So I hope the information that was provided today encourages you to be a part of the profession, encourages you because your presence is needed, your presence is resistance, and you will not be alone. ONAPSI will be there with you. So thank you so much for the space and the time. I hope to be able to answer any questions anyone has later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Deborah. That was beautiful. That was powerful. And especially about what happens afterwards. And that is why I'm so committed to myself. It's very, very strong in me about committed to keeping community. Because I see how people get lost when there is no community. And community just don't mean a bunch of people in one spot. I see a bunch of people in a spot. That is not community. And so I'm intentional about how I keep community. Our final speaker, Antonia. I love you, Antonia. That's all I have to say to introduce you. I wish I could say something different, something more official, something more video worthy, but this is what I just need to say. I love you. I appreciate you, admire you. I see your intentionality in all that you do. And I just want you to know, Black woman, Black teacher, Black past student, Black alumni, I appreciate and love you. Go ahead. 3 minutes. Don't take more than 3 minutes. Enough love. Go ahead, Antonia.
Thank you. I feel very honored to be here. I know we only have 3 minutes. I don't know how I'm gonna do this in 3 minutes. I was telling Dr. ABC because I'm sitting here writing notes as everybody's talking. Because when I'm around Black community, Black spaces, I feel very fulfilled, very empowered. Being here in this room right now, listening to what everybody's saying is so relevant. Watching that video, thank you, Matthew, for sharing. Speaks exactly to why I became an educator. I was born in Nigeria, came to this country, and in my education system in this country, I was not around Black educators, did not see myself in spaces, which made it harder and took longer for me to come into my own. But you know, Dr. ABC mentioned that he wasn't a teacher at Seneca. And that is where I heard about the Masters of Teaching program through his voice. I would have never heard about it because I never even thought about the UFT or OISE being part of my journey. And hearing from him, deciding to apply and getting into the program, reading articles before I got to the program from George Nana Day, talking about representation, I was fired up. But when I got into the program, there were no Black educators. There was no one, there was nothing. And I was shocked and kind of upset about it. And because I understood the importance of student voice, I was a student at that point. So I felt empowered to do what I could do to enact, to be the person I wanted to see in the classrooms. And I was in a program during a pandemic. It was a 2-year program, all online. I was the only Black girl in my class. These were how many cohorts? And it was very sad to see, but I was asking the question, where are the Black teachers? Where is the education and the information about Black? Because sitting in a classroom and they're talking about Black identities and everybody's looking at you to give them an answer or like a pathway. I'm like, no, that's not my job, right? So it was a very big struggle. And the Black Future Pathways, which was called the Access Pathways for Black Educator, came in my second year, and I had the honor to be part of the co-coordinator and research assistant. And that fired me up because it gave me the ability to connect with Black leaders all around, especially with the Toronto District School Board, meeting Karen Murray and people like Nicole West Burns, and listening to people that have been in the field, that have been doing the fight for a long time. I sometimes hear from teachers and from other Black educators, oh, why do I have to do this? Why is it our responsibility? What about other people taking it up? The fact is, if you're going into the education system, you need to understand that it is a critical responsibility. You're going there because you are now there to support the next generation and empower the next generation. I didn't see myself in the school. I now want to be that representation and taking on that responsibility. Like Deborah just mentioned, you have to be prepared to do that. You can't just come in and be like, okay, well, yeah, I'm Black, so that should be okay. That is not enough. You need to understand that you need to advocate, you need to empower student voices. These children are looking at you and seeing something that they've never seen before. So you need to represent in the right way. And the fact is, we are all here. We didn't come here on our own. It was not on the chins, on the hairs on our chins that we got here. There was sacrifices made by our ancestors, by leaders before we got here. OISE wasn't open to Black people forever. We are taking on a responsibility because people led the way for us to get here. So if you're becoming a Black educator, you need to understand that it's a big responsibility. If you want to see change, you have to be the one to make the change. You have to be part of the program. The programs that Dr. ABC mentions about the admission, about the research, as he said, we didn't have that when we were in school. And I literally graduated last year. I did not have that. But my voice and voices of all the other partners that I had in the Black community at OISE, we sat with educators, we sat with people like Dr. ABC and David Montemuro, who came to ask us, what do we want to see? What ways can we support you as Black educators? And we said what we wanted to see, and now it's coming into power. So if you're coming into OISE as a Black educator, understand that you're coming into an act, anti-racist work. Right? And anti-racist work is not something you just say. You actually have to take up those actions as you're doing them. And I'm right now with the Catholic School Board. I'm teaching kindergarten. I am in an LTO. I am the only Black teacher in the school. There are Black support staff, but I am the only Black teacher. And this is a community in Scarborough that the majority of the kids are in that classroom are Black or racialized. So what am I gonna do? And sometimes you might think, oh, what matters? You know, I'm hearing the questions. What can I do in the classroom? How can I take up actions? And sometimes the most little things can make a difference. And it's auspicious because this just arrived on Amazon today. I teach kindergarten, as I said, and I just bought myself some nice, I don't know if you can see them, some nice Black dolls, okay, because I'm seeing my little kids.
Come on, Amazon, come on, Black doll.
Walking around with little white dolls, you know, acting as mummies. And I'm like, there's something not right here. I don't have any money. Yes, I'm broke. The school is broke. Nobody was going to buy these Black dolls if I did not buy the Black dolls. You can go to thrift shops. You can call your cousin. Do you have Black dolls? Can I have your Black dolls? Connect with the community and find the tools, the little things that matter. Put the kids' pictures up, put their family pictures up, talk about their identity, talk about their cultures, invite parents into the classroom to tell you what they do in the house. What kind of music do they listen to? Play those music for the kids to listen to. The little things matter. And being a Black educator, it's a struggle. It's not easy. The situation is not easy. If you come in here thinking, oh, I have a playbook, nobody can give you a playbook. It is your responsibility to find ways that you can make this change. So thank you for letting me speak. Thank you for being here. And I will definitely put my email in the chat. I also did win a lot of scholarships, not just by sitting down, but by taking action. So I can show you or guide you and through the process of getting scholarships through OISE as well. And again, with the Black Future Educator Pathways, going there, connecting with the MTBEA, and we can guide you and support you and navigate through this, you know, system that we're all fighting against.
Thank you. Thank you. Two things you said, Antonia. That, first of all, that was a whole lecture and presentation. And I'm a very, I'm a very intentional person. I listen to you and I go, okay. That's all I said to myself. My spirit just said something. I said, okay. That's all I said. And I put that on record because I follow my energy. That's a whole workshop presentation just now. Come on, keynote. This is people who know me that they know. This is it. This is the voice we need. And it's funny because something else you said, I was at a presentation with over 200 educators this week. And what resonated with them in all that I talked about was, they said, Dr. Campbell, the little examples you shared with us, the stories of how you affirm Black students within the classroom. The little affirmations, the everyday, the way you treat Black students when they're absent and when they come back into the classroom, the little things to say, I see you. So when I heard Tanitia, who is from the TDSB in the research, talking about being seen, it gave me goosebumps because I spent maybe 10 minutes just talking about that this week, about being seen. And I always use hashtag I see you. If you follow me on social media, you'll always see me say hashtag I see you, because so many of us are not being seen. And I know Antonia gave you like a challenge, future Black educator, but what she's showing you is this is a place for you. We need you. Because people have been doing the work years ago. I am doing it now. I'm going to get old one day and I'm not as fabulous as I am. But you know what I'm saying? And somebody going to have to do this, right? And so the last thing I want to say is when Antonia talked about the scholarships, because I remember, Antonia, could you tell me, like 1 second, how many scholarships you got, or bursaries you got during the program?
I don't know about I got a few bursaries, but I won 6 internal scholarships and 3 external, so 9 altogether. I got
you
one
live your best life. This is on. Listen, they're coming to know me. This is who they want. They know me. You better live your best life. I want people to understand what she just said. And I remember the work that Antonia put in to apply, to have people to support, to write recommendation. That's why community is so important. So big up, big up, big up. Enough love, Antonia, for leading this and leading from in front. I've come to the close of the official recording. At this time, I'm going to stop that recording, but we're going to stick around for Q&A. I see a lot of Q&A in the box. And David Montemere, thank you so much. I've been absolutely amazing answering those questions, but we're going to make an opportunity at this time for persons who want to ask the questions. You can take the mic, you raise your hand, you take the mic to do so. It will not be recorded. So I just want to say officially at this time, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of this recording. Please, when the recording is sent to you, I'm going to send it to you today, and it will be posted on all my social media spaces as well. I want you to forward it to people. Forward it to people so they could see, because if they don't apply this year, they apply next year. Because I'm sitting in freedom dreaming, and I'm telling you, I want to be the day at OISE when we don't need a pathway, because all I can see is Black people all up and down the halls just being like, hey, okay, right? And that's my dream. That's my dream. And I'm sitting in freedom dreaming in ways that Nina Simone speaks about as we started this evening. I'm feeling good. You know what I mean. Fish in the sea. Like, come on now. All over the deep ocean. You know what I mean. Right? And so thank you, thank you, thank you.